Welcome to the speed test comparison between the Galaxy S23 Ultra versus the Galaxy S22 Ultra. As usual, we'll be doing everything from gaming, browsing, to multitasking, video rendering, and most importantly, the animation test. As usual, we're going to kick things off by booting up both phones at the same time. Here we go. Galaxy S23 Ultra on the left versus the S22 Ultra on the right. Of course, One UI 5.1 versus One UI 5.0. Lots of big improvements. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 versus Exynos 2200. And let's see. As expected, the S23 Ultra is indeed faster. And we're still waiting for the S22 Ultra, and now it is done. Before we get into the apps opening, it's time to answer the biggest question, which is, has Samsung improved the animations or not? And as you can see, there is a massive improvement. Finally, they got rid of that jumpy animation, and instead, everything is looking super smooth, to the point where this is actually very much comparable to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. This is probably the biggest difference you're going to see in real life when using the S23 Ultra compared to the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Taking a look at the Geekbench 5 benchmark score, you can see we have a massive improvements with the Galaxy S23 Ultra thanks to the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip. Now time to do the apps opening test. Once again, we have the S23 Ultra on the left, as you can see, and we have the Galaxy S22 Ultra on the right. Let's see the real life speed differences between the two models and see if it's actually worth upgrading. So we're gonna kick things off with the basic stuff first, as usual, going with settings. You can see that was really quick on both devices. Time to exit the application. Next we got calculator. Once again, no issues when there's nothing in the RAM management, so obviously things are looking very quick. Let's try to load something heavy. Launching Subway Surfers in 3, 2, 1, go. You can see how Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 just blazes through that loading time, followed by the Exynos 2200. Not that far behind, but you can see the big difference there in terms of game loading time. Next up, we have YouTube. That is actually slightly faster on the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Moving on to Spotify. That is slightly quicker on the S23 Ultra. If we quickly check out the scrolling speed, looking nice on both phones. YouTube. Definitely quicker on the S23 Ultra with the latest feed. Let us scroll around. You can see both phones once everything loaded up. It's looking good. Twitter. That was really good and quick on both phones. Let's check out the scrolling speed. Let's try that one more time. You can see the S23 Ultra feels like it's definitely better than the S22 Ultra. Let's go ahead and exit at the same time. Next we got Asphalt 9. So far we have seen Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 being faster in every app. Time to check out the in-game loading time. So we're gonna play the same stage at the same time. 3, 2, 1, boom. And let's see if the 8 Gen 2 is still quicker or not. And as you can see, that is quite a bit of a big difference there. And as usual, the graphics are set to high quality on both phones, so it is running on 60 frames per second on both devices. In terms of the graphics, it's looking pretty good, but when it comes to long-term gaming, the 8 Gen 2 will definitely be a lot more efficient and cooler because of its bigger cooling chamber. Like right now to the touch, the S23 Ultra feels completely normal, whereas the S22 Ultra feels slightly warm, like it's getting hot or anything. It's definitely warmer to the touch compared to the S23 Ultra. And let's go ahead and jump into Instagram. That is actually quicker on the S22 Ultra with the latest feed. Let's try out the scrolling speed on both phones. Looking very smooth. Jumping into my profile. That got loaded up faster on the S23 Ultra. Checking out the latest feed. Let's check out the Insta camera launch at the same time. So here we go. That is about the same on both phones. Yes, no difference whatsoever. Time to exit the application. Next we got camera. That is about the same on both phones, so no difference in camera launch speed. Alto's Adventure. That is faster on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 powered Galaxy S23 Ultra. Once again, pulling through in pretty much all the games. Next up, we have PUBG Mobile. And let's see if the 8 Gen 2 still is faster with this game. And you can see it indeed is pulling through comfortably with no problem, while the Galaxy S22 Ultra is still loading, but not that far behind. The S23 Ultra is done, followed by the S22 Ultra. Now, one of the best things with the S23 Ultra for gamers is that with PUBG, you can see side by side that there's no extreme frame rate option on the S22 Ultra, as well as the Ultra HD option not available, whereas you can actually download this setting for the S23 Ultra and make things even crispier. Let's take a look at the in-game performance on both devices. So we'll be starting this game off and see how well the frame rate looks on both phones. You can see the S23 Ultra was so much quicker loading up the game compared to the S22 Ultra, which is still in the loading phase. And now it is done. Taking a look at the performance, you can see looking pretty good on the S23 Ultra. I can see that the frame rate isn't as smooth on the S22 Ultra compared to the new 8 Gen 2 chip. And I can even see that with the reflections with the HDR performance. For gamers, definitely the 8 Gen 2 makes a lot more sense. Look at that consistent frame rate. No drop whatsoever. Let's try that on the S22 Ultra. You can see, look at that. It's slightly choppy. It's not bad, but there's definitely quite a bit of noticeable frame drop. Now, time for a quick browsing test. We're going to be opening similar websites, so starting with booking.com. And you can see that is slightly quicker on the S23 Ultra, but very similar performance, especially when we scroll around. The Samsung Internet browser is definitely very optimized to work well on the flagship Galaxy phones. We've got one more website, and that is once again quicker on the S23 Ultra and no lag whatsoever. Next up, we have some video rendering comparison between the two phones. We're going to be loading the same 4K 60fps clip from Sony a7S III on both phones. Let's create the timeline at the same time. And you can see the S23 Ultra much faster in terms of creating the timeline. And let's check out the clip playback on both phones. You can see that it's looking a lot smoother on the 8 Gen 2 versus very choppy on the S22 Ultra, as you can see in this preview. That right here is the full-on demonstration of the new GPU power that we have with the 8 Gen 2. Absolutely smooth, whereas it's just chopping all the way on the older Exynos 2200 that we have on the S22 Ultra. Time to export these clips at the same time on both phones. 3, 2, 1, go. And you can see how quick the S23 Ultra is with the new GPU. Is just flying through the loading times, whereas the S22 Ultra is definitely quite a bit far behind. That is indeed a massive improvement when it comes to video rendering. Good news for the video editors. We are almost done on the S23 Ultra, while the S22 Ultra is still on 25-26%. Big gains indeed. We are done with the S23 Ultra, whereas we're having a crash on the S22 Ultra, so I'll have to render that again. But you can see the big performance difference there already with the rendering. Thanks to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, that is indeed a huge improvement. Now, last but not the least, let's do the RAM management test on both devices and see if the apps are still in the memory or not. So starting with settings, that's still there on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, but seems like it got refreshed on the S22 Ultra. Jumping back to calculator, once again another refresh. Subway Surfers, as you can see, the S23 Ultra is still keeping it in the memory, while the 22 Ultra is just refreshing pretty much everything at this point. Spotify, YouTube, that got actually refreshed on both phones, so interesting. Twitter, still there on the S23 Ultra. Asphalt 9, that is actually still there on both phones. Instagram, still there on the S23 Ultra, whereas we had a bit of a refresh on the S22 Ultra. Alto's Adventure, once again, S23 Ultra is now keeping everything in the memory. So far, it only had one refresh. We are back to the PUBG, back to the browser. Even the browser got refreshed on the S22 Ultra. And finally, we're back to the Premiere Rush. So there we go. What a massive difference in performance compared to the older generation. This feels like such a big step ahead in terms of the real-life performance as well as the benchmark numbers. Along with this great performance, the phone runs cooler and it has better battery life, a lot better battery life than the S22 Ultra. So it's absolute win-win all the way. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. With that being said, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.